I think that is a very important point that has actually come through over the last couple of days, is that sweet spot, in a way, between the sectors, that interesting change, interesting innovation happens at the margins, and the blurring of the boundaries between the social, the economic, the community, the public levels. And I think in the 21st century those distinctions are all very much blurring, and that was a key message of what Jeff's brought to us in this session, is that those old, very rigid sectoral boundaries are actually just not useful now. When you've got an economy that's the highest growth sectors, sort of 10 and 12% are health and education, then to actually make a rigid distinction between social and economic just doesn't make any sense anymore. So I think you're very much right that the energy is in the blurring space. But I think the reality is that we do have this historic, and for a lot of good reasons. There are structures and organisational structures that maybe will change and transform over the next period, but that still exist. But between a private enterprise, a corporate structure, a public structure, a community structure, and the reality is that those organisations don't necessarily speak the same language. They don't necessarily value the same things at the surface level, and I think what the centre can bring is a way of actually saying what we're actually looking at and what we're actually all concerned and passionate about as an outcome. We're all very concerned about issues about homelessness, or about our behavioural responses to the environmental challenges, or we're all very concerned about 14 to 16-year-olds who are disengaged from the schooling system. So if we share that sort of kaupapa, the vision of what we want to achieve, how can we use our separate and very special capacities and resources? And I think the lesson from this is it really takes an intermediary type organisation. It really takes a broker to be actually able to say, hey, you guys are talking about this, you have a unique set of capacities at this stage, you guys are in the same area, let's actually come together on a project that goes through an innovation process together. I think very much, and I think the energy we got at each one of the functions, and it was a different energy too, with different sort of groups of people, showed that people wanted to be together, people were excited to be together, and people hadn't been used to being together. And I think as a centre we've showed we can actually have that convening power. And our next challenge and our opportunity is to say, let's take that energy and those relationships and let's apply them to some of the areas that are so much concerning us, and work through some projects together. I very much was responding, I think, to the mana and the power in some of the people in New Zealand who have devoted their careers and their resources and capabilities to really grappling with issues about communities, about differences, about power relationships between people who are marginalised and outside the system, and also in a very optimistic, powerful way, recognising the potential of that treaty, equal valuing relationship to be really transformative in the way we think about public services. And I do remember that point of sitting in San Sebastian and thinking what I can help bring, and what the centre a potential centre can help bring is to show the world that this very leading space that these people don't know about and aren't hearing yet. There are a lot of opportunities. I think we have a tremendous set of partners, and we had a leadership forum with 16 of New Zealand's leading CEOs and the Minister of Finance, and that was also a wonderful breeding ground and discussion ground for the type of projects people would be engaged in. I mean, I think there's a full menu, and I'm going to be encouraged over the next couple of months to be very much defining those with people. But I think there's a lot of room in the space around broadband. We've as a country, we're making a significant infrastructural investment in the way forward, in the new way, and the reality is that investment is happening, and I think the type of themes that Jeff was talking about this morning, as countries sort of, as the world brings in new technologies, and then how structures and power relationships and things have to adjust to that, broadband is just part of that new wave that is happening, and we will have to start to innovate and work together around that in much more powerful ways than we have to date. So we have a technology. We haven't yet worked out how to make that technology powerfully work to change relationships, to change power, to open opportunities to people in areas like health and education. So there's a huge potential for the technology to allow us to really grapple with some of these key social issues. I mean, I think the health space is particularly fascinating, that the health sector is so aware that the locus of energy and focus has to move from a hospital to a home, to that the costs in the hospital system are now 80% around people living and managing chronic disease. So where that happens is a home, and broadband is an entree to a home, and lets a home engage with every possible degree of information, every possible network. So I'm excited about working with our partners to make broadband achieve its transformative potential in areas like health and education.